Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Super Console Bros. And this is Drew with an angry rant. As you can see by the picture I've shown. This angry rant is basically me and Joe, say hello,
Hello.
getting off our chest some of our opinions on what the heck is going on with gaming nowadays, such as, Joe, would you fill them in?
Such as bullshit decisions companies make, companies ruining franchises, politics or lazy parents blaming games for everything when they're really irresponsible, etc. And if I may, as a small note, if I randomly grunt or go ow or anything, be aware that I have a muscle spasm currently in my right shoulder, so it's a pain, but I'll pull through for you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much what we rant about.
Yeah, the subjects we are covering in today's rant are violence in video games, one of the biggest controversies, the Nintendo failing us or not, which this is going to be a non-biased rant about the Nintendo failing us or not, and
And we're going to be
how,
giving our views.
huh?
I said we're going to be giving our reviews because if I may, real quick, I may enjoy Nintendo's games, but they've had their problems. Be forewarned, everyone. I may go into a rant about a specific game.
So yeah, and also in this rant will contain uh, a little bit of the PlayStation 4 and a rant about the Xbox One.
Pretty much all
And
the problems with gaming these days.
yeah, and the last thing I want to talk about is GTA and the controversy behind it. That'll cover today's rant. So, are you ready,
Mm-hmm.
Joe?
Yep. Where do you want to start?
Well,
Who goes first?
first, I would like to ask you guys for ask you guys to be polite in the comment section below. Okay, all you viewers out there, if I'm stating a fact, I will say if it's a fact. If I'm stating my opinion, I will gladly say it is only my opinion and it is not fact. So, just so you guys know, I am going to give my 2 cents. Joe's going to give his 2 cents. And our opinions matter just like everyone else's. If you have yours, please be kind about it to the comment section to us about our opinions. If you have your own opinion, share it with us, but in a polite manner, please. Right, Joe?
Yeah. You can have a different view as us. Just don't bash us for what we think.
Exactly. And Joe doesn't exactly see the pictures I'm showing you guys, so I'm just going to
Due
tell
to
him
the
what
zip
this one
file
is.
being assholes, zip files can be a pain.
Yeah. And the picture I'm showing these guys, Joe, is the Would You Kindly from Bioshock.
Would you kindly find a crowbar? But if I may start this off, I want to tell you all what's wrong with Nintendo in general. Now, if I may, first of all, on the topic of the 2DS, I honestly feel it's just stupid. I'm assuming that this is basically because a bunch of dumb parents were reporting about how the 3D were hurting their young children's eyes. All they had
Which
to
is
do was go
possible.
into the settings to disable the 3D, or just leave it off or tell them not to use it. Or, as I said before, just disable it in the parental controls. Secondly, this thing's like about the size, almost the size of a Wii U game tablet. So how the hell is this going to fit in your pocket, especially if it doesn't fold? The point of a portable system is to make it convenient. And while I could play 3DS games, I mean, yeah, I know that the 3DS, it's not the biggest deal if it's 3D, but that's kind of like taking away a charm. I'm not saying it's the selling point. I just think that this is honestly a pointless, I guess you could say, I don't know how you want to put this, reboot? I can't really think of any other better word. What is your thoughts, Drew?
My thoughts on the 2DS are this. Whilst I agree that parents should really reconsider about this, I mean, come on. As Joe said, the 3DS can be without the 3D option. Now, I understand their views. I really do. Scientific studies could conclude that 3D screens and everything hurt children's eyes. That could be made a case. But parents need to stop being like they are and bashing 3D just because of that. I mean, they have an option for 2D. I will say this: Nintendo is only doing this because they are friendly towards the consumer. They are friendly. They, unlike Microsoft, they listen to parents and concerned citizens over what could cause harm to children. Because Nintendo is for everyone, not just teenagers or adults. It's also for kids. You know what I mean? But we'll get to the 2DS later, okay, Joe? We're going in a circle here. So, we're going.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
So, yeah. We'll get to the 2DS and more about it later.
With Nintendo, personally, is that they have the wrong innovation, I guess, in the wrong place. Now, let me put it this way: I don't want to be doing yoga while I'm fighting, evil knights in Zelda, or I don't want, karate while I'm playing Mortal Kombat. I mean, honestly, they started off with a regular controller, and I don't mean to sound lazy, but I just want to sit in my ass and relax when I play a video game. That kind of defeats the purpose. It becomes more tedious. You want to work out, just go to a damn gym.
True.
And one other thing, I just don't like it how, in general, they've been making stupid decisions just real quick, like with Smash Brothers Story Mode removal, due to just YouTube videos being online. All that really is free advertising and showing you have fans and showing you that you may gain fans from people watching it. Yet Matsuhiro Sakurai, and may I point that out, I know he makes a good game, but I honestly feel he's just being a baby and throwing a fit about it. But just as one thing, real quick, I'm not saying this will ruin the game. I just honestly think it's a dumb reason to get rid of it. What are your thoughts on this, Drew, on these two things?
My thoughts on these things will be introduced in the Nintendo section of this rant. I'm not saying that we can't talk about this, Joe. I'm just saying, if it's okay with you, I made a schedule. If that's okay with you. Joe?
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry.
So it's alright, man. So everyone, let's get started with the first here. Hello? We may be having technical difficulties. Hold on. Yeah, we just lost Joe. Be right back, everyone. Sorry about that, everyone. A little bit of technical difficulty. Joe?
Yeah, sorry about that. There was something going on.
Yeah. It's okay, though. We're going to get... But on to the first part of our rant here. Violence in video games. Now, I want to say this right off, that if you guys, or if the government wants to tell us how kids today go in school with a gun because of violent video games, then let me tell you something. What you are seeing right now is a picture that describes the ESRB rating system. Every single game has a rating. And if there's a violent video game, it'll be rated under M for mature. And M for mature, as it says here, is suitable for people 17 and older. Right?
Yeah, if I may,
Go ahead.
give my thoughts.
Go
When
ahead.
it comes to the ignorant bastard politicians or parents blaming them you have to keep in mind, like for example, with the recent shooting of, where the 8-year-old killed his grandma. God rest her soul. But you have to keep in mind, GTA 4 was not the reason. First of all, he shouldn't even be playing that game in the first place. He's 8 freaking years old. Secondly, you know, how the hell is he being raised? That just shows you that he's poorly raised if he's playing a game he's way too young for.
His
You
parents
know,
didn't
it's,
want him, and his grandmother, bless her soul, wasn't exactly suited to take care of him. So how would he know?
and the other thing, how in the hell is it a good idea to have a gun that an 8-year-old can access? You should have put it in a gun cabinet or a locked box. You have to keep that in mind, as well as the fact that possibly this kid had a different thought process. For example, I have GTA 4. When I shoot somebody, I'm thinking, okay, I'm venting stress and just relaxing. He might not really know the consequences of killing someone, but he only knows this because he wasn't raised right. Again, and as well, he might actually have a mental illness or a mental deficiency, or maybe there's a police background or a violent background in his family, or a history in his family tree with a disease, or possibly a bad neighborhood. There's all those aspects, but no. People and politicians, ignorant parents, and even police want to use video games as the scapegoat. In other words, if that copy of GTA 4 wasn't there, this would be an entire different case entirely that they'd speak about on the news.
As said by Boogie as well.
Well, not
So,
entirely,
well,
but
some of it was,
we
but
watch
anyway.
them sometimes.
But yeah, you know what? If by some chance this 7 or 8 year old kid got a copy of GTA 4 from his local market, the local market is at fault. They are required, mind you, to have an ID and someone who is actually legally able to obtain the immature game. I had to have my mom come with me in order for me to rent Conker's Bad Fur Day from Blockbuster a few times. And you're
How
telling
old were
me
you at the
that
time, if I may?
a 4'5" person with no ID can get this game just by asking? Really? It's the
I don't mean to
establishment's
interrupt.
fault.
How old were you at the time, Drew? Just for the record.
I was around 12 to 15.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Another problem is if he does manage to get his hands in the game, it's the parents' fault. Because all you have to do is flip the freaking box or everything. Sexual content, strong language, blood and gore, nudity, you name it. It'll all be there. But these parents are too lazy and ignorant or irresponsible for their kids. They're just using the TVs as damn babysitters.
Exactly. And this picture will make damn certain you guys understand. The picture says, and I'm quoting, "Dear parents, these games," and as you can see, it's Dead Space 2, Halo 4, Call of Duty, and Last of Us. Therefore, this guy right here, this guy who looks like he's in his mid-20s, early 30s here. Not for this guy who's Mr. Troll Face over here with the sunglasses. No. Fuck that. Okay? They are for this guy, not the kid. So quite
Yeah.
honestly,
And
what the fuck?
another another thing, sorry for interrupting there,
It's
but
alright.
here's an idea. Have you idiotic, even if you are going to be ignorant, have you ever considered maybe blaming not only poor parenting, but what about the other forms of media? We've seen worse on the internet, worse internet memes, worse movies, worse books. I have, you been on the internet and I've probably been scarred more than I need to be, all on accident, mind you. But the point is, there's been some pretty fucked up books and movies, and yet they're not targeted at all. They're not bashed for any violent shootings or, rapists or thefts or anything. None of that. You know why? Because video games are an easy ass fucking target. Because they're a big hit with the media, and kids love it, and people always seem to blame the video games for everything, when really the only game that's being played is a game of irresponsible parenting. And unfortunately, the politicians are winning.
Yeah, which is bullshit. But hey, we're gonna also fight for this.
Yeah, we're
But
gonna go down to our last bit of health, or to put it in a little humor.
yeah, but honestly, what do people think? Oh, video games are the center of violence for humanity. Period. Well, let me tell you, video games weren't around when the Egyptians were building their pyramids. Just like this picture tells you. Morpheus is even asking you, if what if I told you people commit murder before video games ever existed? Oh my! I don't
Oh
think
wait,
video games
I have
existed
I have
when
an
Martin
idea.
Luther King got shot. Hello?
I have an idea. Maybe, just maybe, Hitler might have played Wolfenstein back in 1940. Yeah, you think that might be the case? He's killing himself in a video game? Oh, here's another one. How about back when, we had the KKK attacks? You think that was when a bunch of the KKK members somehow traveled to the future and played Call of Duty? I have a feeling the DeLorean was not around at that time, and I don't think there was any time machines at all for that matter. Somebody explain to me either what system or what game they played or how the hell it happened in the first place.
Exactly. What the fuck? Genghis Khan didn't go for Sim City. I mean, Sim City didn't exist. What the fuck? He didn't climb and break the Great Wall of China just to show how his video game prowess are amazing. What the hell?
I'm breaking down this wall to show my power level.
Yeah, Genghis Khan was a cold-blooded killer. Period.
I
And
was just kidding,
contrary
by
to
the way.
popular opinion, games like the PlayStation, the Wii, the Xbox, or even computer systems, those do not make anyone, even me and Joe, we're not killers because of video games.
To put it in a way I can explain, violent video games do not make people violent. People that take away our video games make us violent. Because we're going to be nerds till we fucking die. And if you fuck with our games, then we get pissed off.
Yeah, so I mean, come on, it's just idiotic to think that video games make people killers.
This is why I'm very happy that people like Jack Thompson are no longer like lawyers. Because he's like literally had like 4 cases, said that hot coffee mod back when San Andreas was new. First of all, it was a mod that some hacker came out with, even though it was locked from the disk. Secondly, he hasn't even won one case, and oddly enough, he actually owns GTA 4. How's that, parents? He criticizes GTA 4, yet he owns a copy. Ain't that a fucking hero for you?
Yeah, hypocrite as hell. And come on, really. As we said before, violence is caused by video games. My ass, because what video game was being played during the Crusades, or or during Alexander's reign to take over Rome? What the fuck?
Here's another thing, if I might add. Now, I will, if I may, go into the topic of women in gaming. I will tell you this: I am not going to be sexist at all. I'm going to tell you my honest thoughts. While I will not deny that some characters are used for eye candy and to get a girl a dude going for a girl character, and while I've honestly had my fair share of crushes on characters, me and Drew both. But what I am getting is a lot of the feminists out there seem to only look at what a character wears. If I may, Drew, and go on with this, take for example Samus. Yes, while she is very sexy and while she's probably one of my favorite video game characters, other than the fact that she is, this is more in a joking way, very flexible, if you know what I mean, but joking aside, other than that, there's also badass reasons to like her. For example, she's liberated solar systems, blown up entire planets, doesn't need a man, always has the right tool for a job, and has a kick ass suit and doesn't take shit from anyone. As a matter of fact, Other M is the only thing that was stereotypical about her because they made her into a whiny bitch. Drew, if you will, continue.
Yeah, so honestly, it's just bullshit how people can blame video games for everything in the world today. I mean, think about it like this. If video games make you violent, what about other shit? Does Monopoly make you a millionaire? No. Otherwise, I would be a millionaire. Joe would be a millionaire. We aren't. I can barely keep my computer running.
Hmm. But
So,
back to that, back to that female thing, if you may. I mean, what are your thoughts on that thing?
I mean, badass female characters are all around in games, and they're eye candy. I mean, look at Tifa and Yuffie from Final Fantasy. Zelda isn't like Peach. She actually battles Ganondorf.
Here's another one. Take example for Princess Kitana from Mortal Kombat. She may be a sexy person that's barely dressed, but did she stand in a little castle just waiting for a hero like every other princess?
She
No.
whoops Liu Kang's ass from time to time.
She killed and massacred many Tarkatans and faced up against Shao Kahn as well as beat her sister Melina. And another
Exactly.
one. Take, for example, Jill Valentine. She may be dressed pretty sexy, but you have to keep in mind, she pretty much murders the living dead for a fucking living and endangers herself every single day. Yet she can still hold herself in a fight, and while she has assistance from Chris, she doesn't need him.
Exactly. And don't get me started. Don't get me started on, oh, not many people understand fantasy from reality. Zombies aren't real yet, meaning it's fantasy. If I want to kill zombies, don't you think that's a good thing?
And when you say yet, I'm assuming you're joking because all those zombie rumors we heard recently over the last year were bullshit.
Yeah,
Just
the
pointing that
zombie
out there real
rumors
quick.
were bullshit, but you gotta admit, two games in particular actually show scientific reasons how zombies could be possible. I mean, come on. If some scientist was crazy and dumb enough to make a virus, it would possibly be able to be made. Not to
Mm.
mention that
Well,
bacteria are one hell of a bitch to deal with. So if bacterial
that's
vampire, not vampires, what the fuck am I saying? If bacterial zombies come into existence, it's a possibility, but it doesn't mean it's real. Not yet. And hopefully not for another 2 millennia.
yeah. If anything, if zombies were ever to come up, you and I would be dead, or we would probably just join the horde from our since we'd be dead thousands of years. But
Yeah.
back to what we were talking about with all our zombification thing. There's one more female to bring up. If I may bring up another one of my absolute favorites, Joanna Dark from Perfect Dark. While Perfect Dark Zero was not that good, I've only played the classic. She's able to manage a wide variety of guns and equipment, and she basically took down an evil corporation and an alien race single-handedly with very little help. She may look hot, but most of these feminists only look at a girl's looks. And another thing, for all you girls that bash on the people that dress up like this, first of all, what is wrong if a girl wants to feel sexy every once in a while? Just because a girl's dressed like a character does not mean she wants to put out. Maybe she likes the series or likes the character. Maybe she likes video games in general. Maybe she thinks the character's badass. There are very few people that dress like that just to be slutty. If anything, it's just people that post for photo shoots. And not all people that get their photos taken at cosplays or sluts. I'm not getting at that. But I'm talking for the people that are like paid for these things, like models and shit. But other than that, I don't really see why it's such a bad thing if a girl wanted to cosplay as maybe Blood Rain or something like that. What are your thoughts, Drew?
I think that you're totally right. I mean, come on. If a girl wants to cosplay sexy, or if a girl wants to dress a little sexy, it doesn't make them anything. Okay? It makes them who they are. They just like to dress up. What's so wrong about looking good? Okay? I mean, come on. Guys have to look good too. What's so wrong about looking good? Really? And for you guys to say, "Oh, well, it's just showing way too much." Well, you're noticing way too much. So who's the one who's ruining it for everyone else, huh? Huh?
I, I couldn't have said it any better. But if I may, on to the next topic very shortly. The next thing I'd like to cover, Drew, if you don't mind, is the undiversity in gaming in general. Now, if I may start this off, you see, I think there are benefits with the consoles and the PC. I may not play PC very much, but I enjoy the Flash titles as well as games you could buy on a disc. I just don't have time to download Steam. Yes, I know it's free, all that yada yada yada. I am considering getting it on my desktop upstairs. But the problems I have is that the differences between the consoles and PC are this: exclusive games in the consoles and a little better performance and cheaper price on your PC. And there's too much, and it's
You
really
lagged up
making
a
both
bit
of the
there.
groups frustrating and boring. What are your thoughts? And one more thing, I really think that I don't think first-person shooters as a genre are making gaming worse, but it's the overabundance and the lack of unique titles in that genre that are. You see, some examples of unique shooters I could mention could be possibly Uncharted, maybe Halo 1 back when it was good, things like that, back when it was new. The Last of Us. Just a couple examples there. I mean, what are your thoughts, Drew?
Yeah, I understand perfectly that having too much of one thing is bad, but I told you this, Joe, that you have to look more towards how the game is instead of what kind of genre it is.
I'm just telling you in general.
Yeah, I understand totally, man. And like, but back to the topic of video game violence, real quick. I mean, again, if not all video games are violent, Mario isn't violent. Hell, tell me more about the violence in Pong, especially when it's asked by Willy Wonka here. So
But
yeah, I mean, quite honestly, it's fucked up that people will think that every game is violent. Not so.
although video games are not as innocent as they used to be, that doesn't mean that every gamer is a violent freak. It's these idiots that do things just, for example, I may not like the Call of Duty series, but when I read up that the developer was given death threats, it's idiots like that that make the video game, I guess world, so to say, or video gamers out there look bad. But real quick, back to the undiversity thing. Oh, sorry, shoulder. But real quick, another thing that really frustrates me is the fact that, for the most part, nobody wants to be innovative. While there are many, exceptions, you get 100,000 shooters every year, and yes, I know, like you said, Drew, I have to look into what the game's about. That's why I just mentioned a couple good shooters, such as Uncharted. But you see 100,000 shooters every year, you don't see very many racers or platformers.
Very true.
I mean, what are your views on this thing?
I mean, yeah, I understand it's get like Xbox is giving us way too many first-person shooters, and it's getting a bit crazy with the first-person shooters. However, again, we just have to look past some of these things in order to get to good games. I mean, I personally think that like some of the first-person shooters that are coming out could do very, very, very well.
you know, I mean, personally, I'm more of a retro gamer these days. I'm not saying all first-person shooters are bad, like the Bioshock series. Gears of War, and the personally Gears 2 was the best. 3 was okay. 4 I didn't bother. But as I said, Last of Us, things like that, those are good, like Duke Nukem 3D, Blood, and Shadow Warrior, for example. Those are good. Resident Evil, the old ones, mind you. Things
Well,
like that,
five
those
was
are
actually
good.
good. 5 and 4 were pretty darn nice.
But back to what I was talking about. Hey, basically, the problem we have is the fact that we've got another problem with gaming is the assholes of gaming. Yes, I know there's assholes out there in the world, and that's inevitable. But there's a difference between a kid enjoying his video game and a bratty little kid that's way too damn privileged and ruining the experience for everyone by acting like a baby, or some 18 to 20-year-old troll that has nothing else to do but to be a dick when everyone else is just trying to enjoy their time.
Exactly. I mean, come on. It's just bad enough that we we used to have a lot of teabaggers in Halo. That honestly, come on. And you know what? I love it when those teabaggers get shot in the head because oh, I'm teabagging because I shot you. Ha 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 ha. Well, you get shot in the head. How's that for karma, bitch?
The other thing, the hackers. while I will tell you, just as a disclaimer for everybody, I've got nothing wrong with hacks or mods with textures or hacks or mods in these game modes, single player or co-op. That I'm fine with. But if you do that online with an unfair advantage in online multiplayer, it just shows how sad you are and how desperate for good. Because let me put it to you this way: if you're skilled to either make or find a mod that's very hard to get, even if there are a couple of them that are easy, if you're skilled enough to make these hacks or whatnot, or even find them, those that are hard to find, then use those skills to get better at the game. Because honestly, if you use hacks, then all you're really doing is just proving that you have a lack of skill, and you're hiding that under, I guess, a curtain that makes you look good.
Exactly. It's just pretty crazy how people think that because they hack and they are able to shoot people through walls that they're extremely good at a video game and look at their stats and all this. You only got those stats because you cheated. You didn't actually do anything. You let the hacks work for you. But yeah, once more into the breach with this thing, though, for going back to violence video games, let me tell you something about the parents. Right here, I mean, come on. Why should violent video games be banned? Because the children? Children shouldn't have violent video games. Not until they're 17 or something. And if you manage to tell me that, oh, you just want to make them happy, well, there's also something called good fucking parenting. And it doesn't come from video games, it
If I
comes from the
may,
parents.
or if I may, just very short. Personally, you don't have to be seven. Ooh, oh, sorry, my shoulder again. But you don't have to be, 17 to be ready for an M-rated game. When you're ready to talk with your parents and be ready for a, your mind is ready. For example, my first M-rated game was when I was 14 and I played Half-Life, Half-Life 2 on the orange box. Great game. But real quick, just one more thing with this undiversity of gaming, real quick, is that really the companies are also undiverse because they're not showing any effort. In a lot of games, not just shooters, but a lot of known franchises, it's just copy paste. They either kill off the diversity by running the story into the ground, add diversity in the wrong places, such as a completely new story. Well, not really new story. Let me rephrase that. Add wrong, add wrong innovation to the point where it's something we don't remember. In my opinion, you have to balance out old and new when it comes with a sequel or to a sequel. And most importantly, there's undiversity in the game because they sell the name, not the game, because all a lot of games are is basically a different name, a somewhat different story, the generic kinds, mind you, and a couple different guns, and maybe different environments, different powers. Nothing really that adds to the experience for, that's long enough to keep you going. There are some exceptions, as I said before, but this is just my honest opinion. You, Drew?
I mean, come on. Some of the story elements of some of the newer Zelda games aren't really as innovative as they should be. I mean, Ocarina of Time is the only Zelda game I've ever played, and well, a console version of it anyway. I played the GBA versions of Zelda sometimes, but yeah, it's just pretty crazy how Ocarina of Time was wonderful, and the GBA versions just brought on too tedious of a collecting spree for the story. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it was basically just collect, collect, collect on my part.
So, in other words, it was nothing more than a handheld version, which is convenient, but it's pretty much the same game.
Basically,
And
with
if I
much more
may,
collecting.
on the topic of this, I've got nothing wrong with re-releases, but there has to be a re-release that I guess, so to say, fits my taste. For example, if there's a game I missed out on and there's a re-release, I'll pick it up to experience it. The better graphics are nice, but that doesn't make the game. But real quick, before I go into something else, basically, for example, I have Metal Gear Solid HD Collection. I've never played those past ones that are in it, MGS2, MGS3, and Peace Walker. I've beaten 2 in Peace Walker, by the way. Didn't really get into 3 just yet. I tried it. I have got a lot of other games to play, but it's a great game. But before I get off topic, The point I'm getting at is that re-releases aren't bad. They just have to be on games I haven't experienced yet. That's how I picture a re-release. But when I mentioned graphics, another thing, me and Drew are both sick of graphics wars. Look at the N64. Take, for example, Smash Brothers. Compared to the graphics today, it's junk. Yet people still play and enjoy the original Smash Brothers. And take a look at Rampage. It wasn't even 3D. Yet millions of people love that game, and it was an arcade hit. Zombies Ate My Neighbors, a cult classic. Duke Nukem 3D may not have the best graphics, but it was one of the best first-person shooters out there. Super Mario 64, not the best graphics, but it was one of the best platformers. Graphics do not make a good game, and the people that have their asses, their heads up their asses, need to realize this and realize just because it's in 1080p does not make it a good game. It just makes the environments more visually appealing, nothing else. Very similar to how movies only have special effects, but no story these days. Your 2 cents, Drew?
A lot of movies are still pretty good nowadays. It's just that we have to figure out which ones. I mean, don't get me
Yeah, but
wrong.
with the graphics wars thing,
Yeah, you're right about the graphics in gaming and everything. They're just worried about graphics and making things look more better or more realistic, which is pretty shit. But don't attack movies, Joe. Don't attack movies, because I've got to tell you, there are some new movies that are great with story and doesn't have too many effects. You just have to find
I'm
them.
not saying that. I know you told me one, and I know. I mean, for example, the Avengers I thought was pretty good. It had some effects, but it really went
It had
well.
great
But
story.
I wasn't getting in movies. I'm just giving an example of some of the ones that I've recently seen. But back to what I was talking about. The other thing that I find very frustrating with gaming is the fact that gimmicks are forced these days. For example, take, whether it be the Kinect, the PlayStation Move, or the Wii. As I said, ultimately, you just want to sit on your ass. It's been working that way for decades. I'm not saying you need to be a sedimentary slob, but if a game is about, relaxing after a hard day at work or school and just enjoying yourself, I don't think throwing punches is going to make it fun unless it works, and rarely does it. There are some cases where motion controls for any of the three systems may work, but usually it goes from, okay, let me try to open this door. Cool, it's interactive. Wait a minute, what the? Okay, apparently I can open this door. Let me try to break it down by kicking in the air. Wait, it's not registering my kick. What the fuck? Okay, let me try laying down this mine. Wait, it's not registering me bending over. You see what I mean? The innovation, again, is in the wrong place. And more importantly, if I may real quick go into Nintendo to add on to this, they kind of are at fault for that because the reason the Kinect and the PS Move are out there, I'm not saying the Wii was not innovative and didn't do well. It did. But again, I would rather, and yes, I know there's the classic controller, but I honestly just don't like the way it is. I prefer to just have a GameCube controller, which is what I use. But they basically proved to the other two that's where the innovation is, just the controller. That's why you have the other two, and they both are just frustrating. But back, I'm not going to go into Nintendo just yet. But what I'm getting at is, if anything, make motion controls optional because most people don't want to be running laps while driving a freaking car.
Very true.
You
And it's pretty crazy for innovations in the wrong places. I understand that completely. Call of Duty has no innovation. Nintendo innovates in the wrong place with the controller. It's crazy when you have to find a middle place. You just have to go with what you have, and if you enjoy what you have fully, not just bits and parts of it, but fully, then it makes for a good thing. The Wiimote not too good. Call of Duty's lack of innovation for anything. I mean, it's just painted up levels and it's painted guns and basically all it is. You get run, you get
minor
shoot, you get throw a
minor
knife. That's
differences
it.
in story. It's basically run, shoot, run, shoot. You're mentioning some German or Russian terrorist, which is, by the way, very stereotypical because there's other terrorists in the world. And that's honestly, actually, if I may go into a small fact, that's actually one of the reasons the Xbox has been banned in Germany. Like, they ended that Motorola thing, Drew, but I don't know if I told you. But the reason they banned the thing in Germany, another reason they still have it banned, is actually, now correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because so many games are in the World War II era. But what I'm getting at is, go back to what I was talking about, it's basically the same thing every time. It's just copy paste. Hey, here's a new Call of Duty game. Why don't we throw this piece of shit at the wall and see what sticks and call that a full game where we cut out like a big chunk of the content and then sell that off individually when it's nothing but just different small maps. Another thing, speaking of which, whatever happened to unlockables? Now you got to pay $5. Oh, you want to use this cheat code? $5. Capcom. Oh, here's another one. Oh, you want to buy this lightsaber color? $1. You know, you want to buy this extra character? You want to buy this character pack? $15. You want to buy this season pass? $50. Really? You know, I can understand expansion packs because they give you bang for your buck for a really good price. But now every company, with the exception of Nintendo, because they give you bang for your buck, at least in my opinion, they don't do DLC very much. They basically give you half the game and get the rest through updates, and the game is full of glitches until then, and DLC. DLC could be done right. For example, Borderlands and Fallout 3, that's good. Good DLC, good price. But when you have DLC for things that should have been unlockable or were unlockable back in the day, such as if they, for example, if they came out with another Twisted Metal and you had to unlock a character like Minion, that's different. But if they came out with another one and you had to buy him for $1, that's just fucking stupid. They're taking advantage of what could be a good idea, and they're trying to fuck your wallet over. But you know what? You know what you have to do? Fuck it. Just tell the developers, fuck you, I ain't paying.
Good points all around, Joe. Just to let you know, Joe, you're kind of taking over the rant.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's just really frustrated. But yeah, go ahead, give your 2 cents about that, Bruce. Sorry about that.
But yeah, we're at 40 minutes, Joe. We better move on with the entire rant than we do 2 cents here and there. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
But yeah,
well,
I
you know, that's
understand completely that DLC for PlayStation and Xbox isn't exactly innovative. Sometimes, though, you do get some good innovations, like with, say, Batman Arkham City. I mean, they took months to release their last DLC, and it happened to add more story. That's a good DLC. They added more story to the game. They didn't need a sequel. They just added more story, which is awesome. You know?
mm-hmm.
So it's
But
pretty crazy.
you can move into the next part of this rant. Go ahead. What do you want to do next?
Nintendo. I told you to wait.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, hey, you know me. I call bullshit on anybody I need to. But go ahead. You start this off.
But if none of you know, I'm 22. I'm about to be 23, and my first ever video game system happened to be the Nintendo Entertainment System, the simple NES, and it was pretty awesome system. But it didn't end there. My entire gaming career until I was around 15 happened to be Nintendo. I had the NES, the SNES, the N64, the Game Boy Color. It was just crazy. Okay, the craziness of Nintendo went throughout the entirety of video game history. They beat Atari. They beat Sega. There's nothing that Nintendo cannot do. They are not failing us. They're just innovating in the wrong places. Which I'll
And
get
they're
to
making
the Wii U in a moment. So don't worry about that. Okay? I mean, they went through systems and they have given us a ton of handhelds. Okay? They're the only ones that have worthy claims to having handheld kings on their hands.
if I may give my thoughts. Yeah, I do not think that they're failing us. As he put, they are having innovation in the wrong spot. But they're also making stupid decisions, as I mentioned before, with Smash Brothers 4 in the story mode. But that's where me and Drew share a same path. I'm not a fanboy, but I also did share most of my gaming career with Nintendo. Whether it be emulators I had of NES and SNES games, whether it be my N64, my GameCube, or my Wii, Up until I was maybe 14 or 15, that's when I started shifting to other consoles. But what really pisses me off, at least with Nintendo, is the fact that, I mean, yes, I'm aware it's not nowadays, they aren't the best with sequels. While Metroid and Zelda, for examples, are great with sequels, as well as, you know, Fire Emblem, I don't give a shit how many fans I piss off. Mario might be the best Nintendo mascot and the main Nintendo mascot. But take for example New Super Mario Bros. Yes, great game, loved it. New Super Mario Bros. 2, not so much. Big letdown because the game was too damn easy.
Very true. And my Nintendo gaming days ended with the GameCube and the Nintendo, not the Game Boy Advance SD. That was it. Okay.
You said
As soon as my
it's
GameCube
SP.
broke, huh?
You said SD, it's SP.
OSP. Sorry, I keep. D and P look practically similar
Yeah,
and
I know.
sound similar.
I know.
So the
Go ahead.
SP.
What do you want to say?
As soon as my SP broke, finally I ended. And once my GameCube broke, I ended Nintendo, and it was PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. And then it was Xbox and Xbox 360. It was pretty crazy, but Nintendo still is pretty awesome. Okay? I mean, look at this picture. Look at all those consoles. How many games do you think was for each console, handheld or stationary? Come on. How many games did they give us? And you're telling me they are failing? Screw you.
With a screw attack, nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, they are coming out with so many consoles, handheld and stationary. It's just wicked. There's no way they are failing us. And if they're still bringing consoles like the Wii U, then they're not dead. That means they are still succeeding.
Now, if I may, I do feel that, again, the Wii U is a bit of this extension with problems with their innovation. I don't want to play the gamepad. I may give it a try. I'm a little skeptical, but I'd rather just have a regular controller.
Which
but
is perfectly
personally, if I may, one of their biggest problems, in my opinion, has to be that, well, let me put it to you this way. They abandoned their hardcore audience. Now, before anybody calls me a fraghead first-person shooter junkie, let me just tell you the way me and Drew view a hardcore gamer. A hardcore gamer is not a first-person shooter junkie. A hardcore gamer is a gamer that is unbiased, open to constructive criticism in general, willing to admit their mistakes, willing to realize their company's problems, be a fan but not a fanboy or fangirl, and expresses their love for gaming or a series, or just express gaming, their love for being a nerd in general, with multiple genres, multiple game series, and possibly multiple platforms if they can afford another system. That is what a hardcore gamer is. They abandoned that, in my opinion. You see, here's an example. My brothers are 23, 24, 22, or around that age in college. They that were like 13 or 12 when they got Super Mario 64. I was 6 at the time, by the way, but they loved it. I may have accidentally erased their files on accident because I was pretty stupid at the time.
Hey, kids will be kids.
I mean, not all kids are dumb, but people make dumb mistakes. But anyway, sorry about that, guys, if you're watching this. But the point is, they still loved it, even though it was a little frustrating. Their ages at 23, 22 now, and they still love it, and they would still play it. Nintendo basically made games that, not in terms of rating, but in terms of replayability and quality, anybody would enjoy their games. But now it's just for their kids and grandmas and people on their gimmicks. I mean, what are your thoughts, Drew? Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, first-person shooters are awesome, but they're not for kids, and that's what Nintendo goes for. Everyone, including kids. Unlike Xbox, which goes for only the mature audiences, like 17-year-olds and higher. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with first-person shooters. There's nothing wrong with kid games. I mean, come on, Zelda, Mario. Who doesn't love that? So yeah, it's pretty wild how they can do that to us, where they don't do sequels well. But if they are able to get past this, then they will defeat Xbox permanently. And we'll get to
I wasn't
Xbox
even.
and PlayStation 4 a little later in this rant. So hold off on
Hey,
those, Joe.
I'm not being rude, but you weren't even. That wasn't even what I was talking about. I was talking about how they abandoned, quality. I mean, do you think? I don't know if you heard me clearly enough, but
Other
do you
M
think?
sucked. I understand this. The
No,
sequels
no, I'm not
sucked.
even talking about that. Do you think that the games nowadays don't appeal to everybody? They just do appeal to the casual audience rather than any type of gamer, whether adult, teen, or kid.
I don't think that's totally true, but I do understand where you're coming from. It's just hard to see past some of the mistakes they've made. It really is.
Like the Virtual Boy. But real quick, if I may go into that, since I am a huge Metroid fan, if I may, very big Metroid fan. Since Drew brought that up, I'm going to go into a bit of my own little rant here, real quick. Take a little section.
Good.
Now, here is what I like about Other M. It's a terrible game, but there are concepts I like. Giving Samus a personality, not the personality she had in the game, but a personality. Giving her the ability to talk, focusing on her backstory, focusing on the background of her parents, giving us, you know, old bosses, and giving us, I guess you could say, basically giving her inner monologues to give us, again, it ties in with the backstory of what she's like, how she became who she is, and things like that. Now, I will continue this by asking Drew a question. Drew, what are your thoughts when you think of Samus as a character?
Strong, swift, dedicated, concentrated, skilled, and wise.
You said skilled twice, but you get the idea. I basically picture her as a badass that doesn't take anyone, as I mentioned with the sexism thing. But that part where I mentioned how she's all badass and all her qualities, that is the personality we want. That is the type of not even the voice acting was good, at least with Samus, but it's the dialogue and the personality given. In other words, they made her into a whiny bitch that talks like a baby. I'm not saying make her into a military drill sergeant, but make her serious but have compassion when needed. That's what we want to hear out of Samus if she talks. And the other thing, why in the world do you have to, I guess, in a way, in the Prime games, you did unlock upgrades, but you had to, Adam basically had to tell you, oh, now you can use this. Well, you know what? I don't, excuse me, I don't care what anybody says. She doesn't take orders from no one unless she's on the job. She don't take orders from no one. She's a lone wolf. That is not the Samus I remember. Basically, real quick, with one more thing with the personality, you want to give her a personality and make her talk? Fine. But give her one based on the personality we know, based on what she's been through, or based on what we remember as fans. The other thing is that people say that Team Ninja's good for stories. Well, explain to me Ninja Gaiden 3 and the new DMC. Those flops must have been perfect reasons to give them this job, if you know what I mean. Oh, they didn't even know what the fuck Metroid was about, and they basically made it into a futuristic Ninja Gaiden 3, numbing down the combat. While the combat is not a major part of the game, if you ruin it, it just doesn't help. And in this game, especially with Metroid, as I said with the story and gameplay have to go together. Because the story links to where you'll end up during the game, which can affect the gameplay. And that is where Other M was a flop in those terms. But the absolute worst part, in my opinion, is the fact that Metroid has had such a great track record, and then Other M had to happen. And the fact that straight up they ruined one of my favorite characters. You managed to take probably the very definition of a badass female, and really the first badass female in video gaming history, the very first, and you made her the stereotypical whiny daddy's girl, and you took away everything we loved. Whether it would be the exploration, you messed up with that by unlocking things. You took away the personality we would all love, and you took away the gameplay by numbing it down, and you made it into a third person. Well, that isn't a bad thing, but it was not executed right. Overall, Other M could have been a good game if it was given to Retro, honestly, because they know Metroid very better, or at least if Sakamoto was working with Team Ninja, but I have a feeling he wasn't. The point is, the game overall had great potential, but poor execution. Drew, if you would.
Never played Other M. I don't have a single thing to say about it. But if you've played Other M, I will take your word for it.
I actually haven't, but I've done enough research and know enough about Samus. I pretty much know her inside out that I would know.
I don't.
I would know about it well enough. But anyway, real quick, just to wrap up our Nintendo section. All in all, Nintendo is innovative and they have good ideas, but they've abandoned what made them into something big. And again, they have innovation in the wrong places. Personally, what I'm hoping for, I'm not saying we've got bad games coming up for the Wii U, but in terms of the PS4 as well, I'm just going to wait for the games to come out as well as the price drop. You, Drew?
I wouldn't be able to afford it anyway until I actually get a job and money, so.
But, on to the next section and the next
Not
company.
yet.
No
I'm not done with Nintendo yet.
Oh, okay, sorry, but go ahead. What do you have to say?
I understand that they've had innovation in the wrong places, but I just want to say this. My research into the Wii U, I understand that a gamepad in your hand isn't exactly the greatest of innovations. However, you have to understand, they're not going for a gamepad just for the look of things. They're going for a gamepad in order to make it family friendly. Are you listening, Joe?
Yeah, I heard you, but I don't mean to be rude. Are you telling me that apparently a GameCube controller made things violent?
No. Not. Well, sometimes, like for those other games, like the Nintendo 64, GameCube, here's what happens. Okay, here's what happens. You're playing a video game. Someone comes in and wants to watch a movie. You guys will get into a fight on you want to play more or them want you off so they can finally watch their movie. It's a fight just because you can't play your game and them watch their movie at the same time. With the Wii U, they actually have a solution. That's what I mean by family friendly. What I mean by family friendly is the gamepad is there for extra executables. Like if you're playing Mario Kart on the Wii U, you have everything on the screen that you need up top. You have no clutter because the clutter, like the track, where you are on the track, and some of the other shit, is on the gamepad. So you have better access to see what your opponents are doing while still have the information in your hand.
Two things, real quick. I honestly just feel the grip of the gamepad would be tedious. Like, I don't want to have my hands spread. I want to have them close together in case I got to make a quick reaction, which is why I'm kind of worried. The gamepad, in terms of looking, is okay, and some touch, examples, I guess, but for the most part, I would think it's more tedious than it needs to be. And you actually reminded me of something about Nintendo that is another problem. Nowadays, their third-party support is crap. While I will admit third-party support in general, back then it was good, but nowadays it's not. Compare back then to now. Back then, for third-party games, and I guess you could count Rareware as third-party. I know there's second-party because they used to work with them really well, but I'm just giving you some examples. Some of the best third-party games I played on the N64 were Chameleon Twist, Gex, Gex 3. You had Rampage, you had Rampage World Tour, you had Turok, you had Quake, you had Doom, you had Blast Corps, again, Bad Fur Day, you had Banjo-Kazooie, you had, you had Glover, you had a game called War Gods, you had Gauntlet Legends, which was on the N64, you had games like that, you had Diddy Kong Racing, you had games that pretty much, for the most part, now not all, there was some shovelware on the N64 and the GameCube, but in my opinion, during that era, not all, but for the most part, the third-party support was actually pretty good, and the companies cared. But now, all it is basically turd games meant for children or people that are just really dumb enough to buy the games and all. And you just see a bunch of shovelware and maybe a couple, if you're lucky, maybe one or two third-party games that are actually pretty good. One other third-party game that, in my opinion, was the best, at least one of my favorites, personally, was when I got my first taste of GoldenEye on the N64. That was perfect. I loved it. Perfect Dark. I loved it. And one more game, personally, just you had for example, you had what was the name of that game? I can't remember. Oh yeah, you had a couple House of the Dead games in the N64, if I'm correct.
I don't know.
Those were good.
But
yeah,
I understand what you're saying about the third party thing, but listen, the rumor is they're bringing back Rareware for Nintendo. And you haven't played the Wii U yet, so don't go off on how things look. Just wait, and when you try it, then you can pass judgment. Just telling you right there. I mean, what's so bad about having your hands a little bit more spread so you can have extra information? It's not that bad. I mean, you have the Game Boy Advance and the DS. What's so wrong about gamepad for console? What's so bad about that?
It just feels like a giant iPad in your hand. I mean, I've got nothing wrong with an iPad. It just doesn't feel right. But,
maybe so, yeah. but again, the pad isn't just there for extra information. What if someone wants to come watch a movie whilst you're playing a game? You can have the game on the pad, on the gamepad. You can have the game on the gamepad and play by yourself, and whoever wants to watch a movie can watch a movie. It's perfect. I never
said that was a bad thing. That's actually a great idea.
It's a great idea. They have an innovation that gives such a great family-friendly way for home entertainment. They can watch movies, you can play your game. If they're not there, you can play your game normally. And you have extra information.
If there's any third-party game out there, just for the record, I usually watch a YouTube video or look at a review.
You should do that for any game, not just third party. I mean, come on, some AAA titles are crap.
In general, for anybody curious, I do it for a lot of games. But just one last third party game I remember that was really good. If I'm correct, I think there was one on the N64. I think they did have a Worms 64 game.
Revolutions, I think. Revolutions, I think.
64, this one South Park trivia game, which was funny as hell.
But yeah, that should wrap up our Wii U, our Nintendo, and everything else for this Nintendo section. Let's move on, shall we? Because we are over an hour.
Microsoft?
We're on Microsoft now. And as their new system states, it's an all-in-one system, right? As they stated before. Never trust Microsoft, because this is what's going to happen to you. Okay?
And by the way, we just want to verify, the both of us, we are done with Xbox. We might enjoy the 360, but it's a decent system. And as a matter of fact, even so, it's getting old, boring, and repetitive. Honestly, this bullshit with
that's
Microsoft...
That's for Joe, anyway. I still love the...
Wait, what?
I still like the 360 a lot, and I will play it a lot. I'll have my kids play the 360, but not one. Okay? The Xbox One that's coming out recently? No, spank you. The Xbox 360 is still a good thing, and
they'll probably shut down the damn servers once you have kids.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean anything. I'm going to have a ton of kids. What's so bad about them playing 4 players on the game?
I said the servers for the system will be shut down and will basically be a brick.
No, it won't. You can still play the games offline.
Yeah, true. But just go on. Go ahead and give your 2 cents. I'll do mine.
But yeah, the Xbox One is gonna be jack diddly. I mean, they already built the system. They're about to release it as well, I'm thinking. So that means that whatever they're telling you now about them removing DRM and removing the limitations may come back to bite you in the butt. Okay? What will be...
If I may...
Huh?
If I may, it's a lure because, if you read deeply within the small print, it says they could basically change anything without warning, without letting you know.
Exactly.
So basically, think of it this way. you're skeptical. You buy your Xbox One after hearing all this great news. A few months down the road, couple of years, they might add it through slowly or even all at once with a patch. They'll be like, ah ha ha ha, we have the patches back. Now you got to listen. Oh, you want your money back? Fuck you. Your warranty's out.
Which is bullshit, but hey. Because
That's what
once they patch
Microsoft
that
is
shit
trying to
up,
do.
what? Oh, you get to play all the time you want, whenever you want. That's what you get with the 360. So how is the Xbox One better? Oh, it's got new games. Well, guess what? The new games you can only get certain places. So you're screwed either way. You remember GameStop scandal recently? Oh, you didn't? Go look at Alpha Megasin or someone because they'll tell you everything you need to know about it.
Yeah, like with the Xenoblade unwrapping a new game and claiming it's used and then charging $40.
Yeah,
By the
and
way, shout out. Thanks for telling us all this stuff, Alpha. But back to what we were talking about. Another problem I really have with the Xbox One is the fact that they make sharing games so tedious. What is the point? Now, again, I know these are removed, but something in both of our guts just tells us that they're going to get it back. So we're going to rant through it anyway. But what is the point of making it? Oh, you have to wait 30 days. Why? If I want to trade my damn game, then I should be able to trade my damn game. If I want to sell it, if I want to let somebody borrow it, or if I wanted to fucking break it with a baseball bat because it was a piece of shit, I should be able to do that. But no, Mafia Soft, as I like to call them, is just trying to control us with their little, I guess, crime ring of gaming to be funny. But the point is, we're renting the games. We don't own them. These discs are basically installing discs where you put it in and it's stored on your hard drive. And once you put in your code, you can't do shit with it. You might as well burn it and use it as a fucking coaster.
exactly.
And one
And
more thing, real quick. The one thing that really gets me frustrated is the fact that you can't even, you can only sell it to participating people. So what's the point? Renting is going to be dead. And yes, again, we know this has been removed, and we know this isn't really the newest info, but we just have this feeling that it's going to come back.
why
Knowing
should we trust
Microsoft,
them
knowing
after
how
the bullshit? I mean, why trust them after the bullshit they already tried to do against us? All this
they
bullshit
had the
that
balls
they
to
did.
start this whole shit up. The only reason, if I may, I hate to burst the bubble to any people that like the Xbox. The fanboys can go fuck themselves. But I hate to burst the bubble of anybody that likes the Xbox, but if they have the balls to do this once, they could do it again. That's first of all. Secondly, the actual only reason shown by statistics and research is because PS3 was mopping the floor with sales. Because PS3 didn't, I mean, excuse me, PS4. PS4 didn't have any of these restrictions. They made fun of Microsoft, as a matter of fact, at their E3 show. But what I'm getting at is people were pre-ordering it. People were loving it. People knew that they were going to cater to gamers. And yet the only reason people were they changed their policies is because they knew that they were going to be dead if they didn't do anything. They knew this was going to be a fail because nobody was pre-ordering, nobody was showing interest, people were ranting, the internet news was going viral, and all these things. And on top of that, if I may, you want to know what the Xbox, or should I say, what I call it, cable box one is? A glorified VCR. It's
TV, TV, sports,
TV,
sports,
TV,
TV.
sports, EA, TV, sports, EA. And maybe a couple apps like Facebook. Well, first of all, I could get most of that on my phone, and I could probably watch sports on TV for free rather than spend $500 on a plastic brick, but I'm not even into sports. Secondly, this is basically like a TV or a glorified, sports book or center or whatever, because all of these things that they showed at their E3 show, they didn't even show games. Again, we know this isn't new information, but we're just giving our thoughts. This really shows they don't give a fuck for gamers. They don't, because if they did, they would have shown games at E3. And hell, they were scared. That's why they had that press release about the Xbox limit rumors that Adam Orth, douchebag by the way, set up back before that. They were just scared. You could tell if they weren't scared.
You're lagging, by the way.
Told us at E3 or at least made changes, but they're just cowards. Sorry, where'd I cut off? I'll repeat.
Nah, it's
Where did
okay.
I
I
cut
think we're
off?
okay. Cough just a little bit. Don't worry. We're using Skype, and my computer is shit anyway. So if that's
But
why the
yeah, but back
rings
to
and stuff.
back to what I was speaking about. The problem is that they don't care for gamers, and let me just put it this way: their actions and their showing at E3 and just what we had, and just proves it. I mean, they only want money, and they want to turn this more into a glorified. It's no longer a gaming machine. It's more like a convenience machine, to be honest.
All it has over,
But I,
say, a Rock or some of the older systems is Bing and Internet Explorer. That's the only thing Xbox One has over old gaming systems like the NES. You can play without a camera connected for the NES. You can trade with friends your N64 games. You can play offline for the PS1 and PS2. It's bullshit
Oh,
what
but
they're
with
doing.
Xbox, you have to check in every 24 hours. It is mandatory. You've got 1 hour to play if you're on a different console. You have any idea how fucking fast 1 hour goes, especially for a video gamer? I spent 2 hours and 12 minutes playing Zombies Ate My Neighbors today on my Wii, for example, which is, by the way, the reason I got the arm sore because I didn't move my shoulder for that long. I feel bad for myself in that terms. But back to what I was talking about, the other thing is you can only do
You can only
do
what?
you have any idea how many times I've let people borrow my games and I borrowed games off them just to avoid renting a game and regretting it or buying a game and regretting it? It's basically free rentals where you can try it for as long as you want or for at least a good amount of time before they want it back. But
Exactly.
no, of course, Xbox has to always tell you, oh, we're always going to make you have to buy new and you got to pay a fee if you want to get a used game, which defeats the purpose of renting or GameFly or anything like that, Redbox, wherever the hell you want to put, GameStop even offered rentals, Family Video. Really, you're going to make me pay a fee if a game is used after I bought the game, unless they offer the game free at the door and you just pay that, then you're making me pay extra money. Microsoft, I don't give a fuck what you tell me. I am not made of fucking money. It really seems as though Microsoft makes the consoles themselves shitty so they break easier with predetermined obsolescence. So they break easy and you buy more. Same thing with the games, which is why they scratch so easy. And this is why they're doing all this other crap. And one more thing, what about the people that live in rural areas? Are we basically telling them, fuck you? That's pretty much what Don Matrick did when he said, oh, stick with 360. You're not part of the new group. Don Matrick, all I can tell you is I'm glad you're fucking out of Microsoft. Frankly, you shouldn't have a job in any type of gaming industry at all.
So yeah, don't trust Microsoft about the Xbox One, and the Xbox One's gonna flunk. If you fanboys want the Xbox One, all the more power to you, but you're gonna get burned and boned. The X
And
boned
more
you.
importantly, you're wasting your money. I would much rather play the NES. Fuck, I'd rather play. I mean, there were some good games on it, which is why I play Game Room. Yes, people laugh as you will, but I did enjoy some games they had for the Intellivision on that. But hell, I'd rather play fucking ET on the 2600 than play the damn Xbox One. At least with ET, I can play it for free after I paid for it once because they're gonna basically make you pay so much for so many things. They put a price on fucking everything. And might I add, in the terms of new information, the update of retiring Microsoft points I thought was going to be easy. It's not as easy as it seems, at least from my experience.
And they're getting rid of the Microsoft points if you haven't heard.
Yeah, and it makes the buying things more frustrating, at least from my experience.
So yeah, that's why the PlayStation 4 is much better, and I'm possibly going with the PlayStation 4 first chance I get.
But that does not mean that Sony doesn't have its problems.
Of course
Drum roll,
not, but
please.
it's
We are
pretty
going
crazy
in,
stuff.
we are going into the Sony section of this rant now. Drew, you may kick it off and let me know when I have my chance.
Yeah. So PlayStation 4 is made by Sony, and you remember Sony isn't just a video game system company. Sony has made VCRs. Sony has made DVDs, I believe, right?
Yes, and TVs and even movies.
Exactly.
And
So
hamburger.
basically, they know for sure that they cannot make an all-in-one system. Okay, they can't. Unless they include
Same thing with Microsoft as well, if I may. Sorry, but same
Microsoft.
thing with Microsoft.
Microsoft was PC and then it went to Xbox and they flunked with an all-in-one system. PlayStation 4 is going to be an all-in-one system because it can do everything that the Xbox One can better. Okay, the only red ring for the PlayStation 4 is the fucking O button. That's been the case for PlayStation 1 through 4. The only red ring is the freaking circle button. That is it.
And if I may, that was one of the funniest jokes I've ever heard. Props to you, Drew. That was actually hilarious.
That's
But
it. Yeah, the
now, if I
PlayStation 4
may,
has a red ring. The O button, which I remember as a special attack for Kratos, I think, for Gods of War. I don't know. It's been a while.
and if I may, they may have charged for online now for all you Xbox fanboys. But if Microsoft, look at Microsoft, they raised the online prices from 50 to 60 for 12 months, which is, by the way, why I'm done with Xbox Live Gold, since I don't even play it. Once my thing runs out, I'm not going to bother. But the thing is, I'll tell you this much, at least the dude who made it apologized, and it's $5 a month. That's the same as a yearly thing. Actually, no, it isn't. It's cheaper than the Microsoft one. More importantly, they didn't add any bullshit restrictions or none of that. And it really just pisses me off, that, it's just sad that Microsoft had to, the only reason they did this was, again, because of sales. Now, the most important thing, at least in the positive aspect, is they have some pretty good exclusive games, and they seem to be catering to their fans pretty well by keeping the consumers happy with their wallets. Now, the problems I have
Hell,
is both. Oh, and one more thing. They might have been hacked, but they're giving more money into their security and offer things for their, they gave refunds to any problems people had, and, also, I guess, are compensated with a couple free downloads. But you mind if I go into the negative, or you want to go real quick through it?
um, well, the only thing I have to say is that just like this picture says, and just like the PlayStation has always been, legends will never die. Kratos kicked ass, and you didn't need an internet connection. So legends never die, even if your internet connection does. So bye bye Xbox, because PlayStation's giving your internet connection a bad case of fuck youism.
Even the Wii U has actually some pretty good internet from what I've seen, especially with Miiverse. So even that is going to mop it by a long shot. And no, I'm not insulting Nintendo there. I am just, while they did have pretty bad online on the Wii, I just wanted to tell you, especially with Brawl, I hated that it would lag. But they did a couple things right with the DS games and Wii games. But back to what I was talking about, even that'll be able to outwit the Xbox in terms of online, and especially they'll have nicer people. It's just sad for Microsoft. But another thing, real quick, I hate that how pretty much every system has assholes, just heartless jerks and spammers and all that. But back to my Sony thing, they do have problems. For example, while they have exclusive games, let's face it, for the they oh by the way, yeah, but sorry, kind of zoned out. But for the most part, they pretty much have the same games on their system, and while they have some good exclusives, they only did that to follow suit or compete with the other two. Granted, competition is needed, but in other words, they only made. I guess I could put it to you this way: they only made those exclusive games, first-person shooters, just to compete with the trends, like how Xbox did. And real quick, just one thing for sure that I don't like personally, I don't like how with PlayStation Plus, you're kind of renting games. You basically can only play it when you're a PS Plus member. While that's a long time, you'll probably be playing games unless you plan to pay $50 a year. And I don't see why they should just give it to you for free. I'm not saying they don't need money. Every company does, but while that's a long time, you're going to probably play the game, or at least own the game, or play it whenever you're bored, past the time of your Plus duration. And one more thing, I mean, they are generous in a lot of ways. Yes, I do like that. But they still do need to up their ante with their security, even though they already have. And the other thing, is a lot of series I feel they ditched from their classic days. Like while there is another, Ratchet and Clank coming out, at least not to my knowledge, I don't think I ever hear any whereabouts of a new Jack and Daxter or the Bouncer. I think that was actually a movie. I could be wrong. Or like Sly Cooper. Again, I could be wrong. Fill me in, Drew, if I'm wrong. But they've
I
kind of
haven't
abandoned their
made
classic
any
series,
research
which
for the next gen
started them up.
consoles.
What?
I haven't made any research for the next gen consoles, except
Oh,
for the Wii
but
U a little bit.
and another thing is personally how I kind of just don't like how, again, for the most part, for the Xbox and PS3, how basically they, they fall sweet. I just really wish that while Sony's diverse with exclusives, you know, they should have mostly exclusives, not the same games. But in other words, the PS3 and Xbox are extremely similar, just a different brand name and some different features, very similar to a generic console and a PC. But yeah, you get the idea.
So yeah, it's
Drew?
pretty crazy that PlayStation would um, how PlayStation should have more exclusives. PlayStation 4, I've heard, has way more exclusives now, and they will be having a lot of great new games, but I haven't seen any of them yet, so we'll see how that goes.
And one last thing, the overpricing. I hate. Do I even need to go into how the PS3 was when it came out, being $500? I think that's well enough to mention.
Well, the PlayStation 4 is $400, so I think we're okay.
Well, they learned their lesson at least.
They learned their lesson, and the $400 is a big fuck you to Xbox's $500 for the Xbox One, which I heard they
Now,
lowered, but it's still bullshit a system. So even if they lower the price, it's
and
nothing.
something tells me, knowing Microsoft's greed, they'll find another way to get that extra money that they lost from lowering the price one way or the other. But one more
Exactly.
thing I forgot to mention with Nintendo, don't mean to get off topic. I do love that they re-release games, and when they don't do DLC very much, they give you the full game. But when they do, they give you bang for your buck at a good price, and they don't rip you off. But one more thing with Sony before I end this, and even with Microsoft, actually, no, not even that. Just, in general, games need to stop being something they're not. You see so many Call of Duty clones or clones of great games. What's the point of being something you're not if you're just going to be called a ripoff and be called a bland game? You should just try your best to be innovative. And one more thing, I hated how gamers these days basically turn down great games. You know something is wrong if, for example, Call of Duty outsells a Mario game. I know Mario's kind of, there's been shit tons of Mario games, but it's way more. I'd rather jump on a turtle than shoot a German Nazi. My point being is there's so many mindless fanboys or fangirls that they don't even open themselves up to new ideas or at least diverse games, even if the ideas aren't new.
Exactly. But yeah, that honestly, it's just crazy for any system. But I should probably say this: whatever you guys like, you go for. I personally will enjoy the PlayStation 4 because it has everything that me and Joe are asking for. It
Well,
really is.
actually, if I may, PS4, Wii U, and PC for me. Screw Microsoft. Fuck them. They ain't getting a
Yeah,
penny out of
and
me.
I'll get a Wii U when I can after the PlayStation 4 because the PlayStation 2 was awesome for me, and I see the Wii U is gonna be pretty cool too. It's just I want PS4 first. I miss some
Smash,
of the games that
uh,
I used to have on the PlayStation 2.
Smash Bros. And Twisted Metal and Crash Bandicoot and Zelda for the win. And Metroid. Just pointing out the things I like on both of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's come to the last part of this and end up because oh my god, we're at an hour and a half. This will take forever to render, Joe.
Hey, the Monopoly game was an hour and a half, so yeah.
Yeah, but this is just a rant. This ain't gameplay.
Yeah, but it's a good rant, if anything.
Anyway, let's get on to the
But,
last part of this rant, shall we?
which is,
GTA and the bullshit that people give it.
okay,
Let
if I
me do
may.
all the talking,
People,
please.
No problem. Go
This
ahead.
is
Go
my
ahead.
this
Go
is my
ahead.
part because you had a lot of time here.
So basically, I get a break and I don't have to talk.
You get a break until I've done, but yeah, it's all right, man. I played
Fair enough.
GTA and GTA 2 when they were pretty popular back in the day. But I understand how people will get on GTA. The media got on GTA like hell. Oh, it's a crime simulator. You get to kill people and run around, steal cars, and all this shit. Well, let me tell you something. It's a video game. You know how many shit how much shit that people stole in the old days? You know how much alcohol, how much food, how much all this other shit that people stole in the old days with the Egyptians, with the Asians, with Genghis Khan and all this shit. How all the shit they stole, you're not getting on them and the history of what they did that schools are teaching to the masses. What about them, huh? And for all the people who are like, oh, but Vice City is just sinful. Excuse me, but so is Vegas. And that's precisely what Grand Theft Auto Vice City is going for. The glamour and shit that Hollywood and Vegas had. What the hell is wrong with showing that? I mean, honestly. And if you're gonna get on me for San Andreas being just a gangbanger shoot 'em up, fuck you. If all you got was the first part of the game being gangbanger shoot 'em up, and you've got absolutely no idea what the true story is. You skip cutscenes or whatever. You never actually played the full game. There's more to San Andreas than gangs and shooting. There's car theft. There's gambling. There's mafia. There's not just gangs. There's mafia. Okay? There's helping the government with secret agent shit. There's a lot of shit in there. A lot.
Just if I may, very shortly, I am not saying that this is like a good thing. Another thing, kids watch R-rated movies and we don't see anything about that. Kids see a lot of other things, heck, even worse things on the internet. We don't see that. And if you think about it, I am not encouraging that kids, look at porn or swear a lot, although kids these days do. Back when I was a kid, I'd get hit for doing that on accident.
I
But
learned how to
what I'm
cuss and
getting at,
shit from my dad having road rage. That's nothing new.
but the point is, Um, really, if you think about it, is a couple swear words or legitimately a naked woman the worst thing a kid could see? I'm not saying it's a good thing, but if you think about it, a swear word is just a word they could ignore if you teach them, and all a nude woman really is just a woman without any clothing on. I mean, everybody in the world started out with no clothes when they were born, if you think about it, put it in a funny manner.
I mean,
But
look at Adam and Eve.
hmm.
We
Well,
put
I didn't want to.
fig leaves and shit over them to keep that out, but they were still butt ass naked back then, and they were
I didn't
adults.
I didn't really want to bring religion into that, but okay. But yeah,
Adam and
go
Eve
go on.
isn't just religion, you know this.
Yeah, I know, but just go on with what you were talking about. I just wanted to get that point
Yeah,
across.
and people are getting off on Grand Theft Auto 4 and how Grand Theft Auto 5 is just shit because of it's just another shoot 'em up game where you go around commit crimes, screw some women, kill them to get your money back, and all this other crap. Well, let me tell you something. Something I want to tell you guys. How is that so bad when you have something like Saints Row 2, 3, and 4? Huh? Huh? Sa- Saints Row, by the way, I love Saints Row 2 and 3. 2 is a great, deep, dark story, and it's not making you invincible. But Saints Row 3 is pretty nice for stress relief, just going around getting shit done. It really is. But back to what I was saying about this though. Look at that, huh? What's so bad about Grand Theft Auto when looking at Saints Row? Grand Theft Auto gives you guns to shoot innocent people with. Saints Row also does the same ass shit. Grab a gun, you shoot anyone you want. You steal cars and run people over with them. Saints Row does the same shit. Grab any car you want. You can grab an old truck, you can grab a speedster, whatever. Run people over. Go ahead. It's Saints Row. Uh, uh, in GTA, you get a dildo weapon. Have you seen Saints Row 3? Huh? Have
You
you?
actually do in San Andreas, if I may.
San,
But
San Andreas and GTA 4 maybe have a small ass dildo weapon. It's very small. Compared to Saints Row 3 and 4 giving you a fucking a freaking
baseball bat
a
size one.
baseball bat sized gigantic one. What how is Saints Row
But
3 not worse than that?
if I may, very quickly, my opinion on the GTA series went for more of a serious route. I do
Serious
think,
and realistic. Saints Row's getting
real
crazy.
quick, SR as a series went for more of a fun, wacky kind. But honestly, I think Vice City, San Andreas, and 3 were the best in terms of the GTA, and
4 did
SR2 was
flop,
the
but
best
we're
because
gonna see what 5 brings us.
can I just say one thing real quick?
Go ahead.
One thing is that those games in the GTA series mixed in seriousness and fun, and were diverse with the missions and story perfectly. GTA 4 just seemed kind of bland and got old after a while, while SR2 had a perfect mix of serious and fun and wackiness, but 3, in my opinion, just took it too far. I know it's supposed to be over the top, but it just seemed a bit too childish. Fun,
Well,
but too childish. But go ahead, finish what you have to
it
say.
ain't all too childish. There are some serious aspects. Don't forget Johnny Gat dying, which was fucked up. But anyway, yeah. But as I was saying though, GTA 4 did flop, but you got to remember they went from having a great sized world for San Andreas to a small island Liberty City. Graphics were incredible, and they were trying to bring more realism. GTA is more about realism in driving your car and everything, and more realism and a feel of actually having shit happen that isn't crazy. While Saints Row is more of a fun feeling game. Which, by the way, I should probably tell you guys, when as soon as Saints Row 3 went, there was no competition. There was just you want fun or you want serious. Because being serious is fun, but it's like two sides of the same coin. Okay? You can have both. But if you want one more than the other, you grab the one it is. Saints Row 3 and 4, wacky, crazy, fun, do whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want, however you want. Grand Theft Auto,
Personal,
serious, challenging, hard. You have to work for it.
uh, Personally, I own both GTA 4 and SR2 and 3 and San Andreas. I enjoy them all for different reasons. Just saying.
Well, we traded up on that. I had San Andreas, gave it to you. And you had
For
GTA
license
4
transfer.
and SRs and gave it to me. Thank you very much,
But
by the way.
you get the point. We both enjoy both games. We're giving our opinions. I think they're both great games for different reasons and whatever. For me, it all depends on what mood I'm in. If I want an in-depth story, I'll play GTA. If I want to have a fun time to relieve stress, I'll play SR. That's just my quick analysis.
So yeah, that's all I have to say. Why go after GTA only when you've got shit like Saints Row going on? That's fucked up. Tack both, not just one. You know? But yeah, that should just about cover everything that I wanted to get through with this angry rant.
We.
Yeah, we all the shit we said with uh
All
everything
three.
through what you've seen from the pictures I've showed you and everything Joe put up with like
But
not the innovation shit that was going on that should have went on
if
right.
I may, actually, just one more thing. Just real quick about PC gaming, may I bring this up?
Sure.
One. While PC gaming has its advantages with mods, indie games, and some exclusive games, and cheap prices and a little better performance, that does not save it from being, pretty much very similar to a console. While that can help and bring some audience, that that doesn't save it. Secondly, nowadays most companies go after consoles rather than PC. So if you get a PC version, it's not very different from the console unless you use mods. While mods indie games and mods indie games and Steam can help, again it doesn't save it. And one more thing is the fact that in general, PC is just basically it could be way ahead of the consoles, but basically the sales of consoles because of these fanboys and idiots is what's holding it back, and the fact that again there's not much diversity between the two platforms that it's just there's nothing really special about it because what PC had as potential was in-depth games with a lot of detail. Console games really had more around unique games and games of all kinds. You know, again, PC games were more about detail and in-depth. In-depth. Not saying console games these days are, or back then they weren't, but that was PC's primary focus along with performance. But wrap it all up, PC and console are too much in common. PC master race fanboys are idiots, and fanboys in general, just shut up, keep your opinions to yourself and your fanboy scum, leave real gamers alone, and just play games.
And have
Sorry, just
fun.
had to get that out of my chest.
So, it's all right, man.
But
No worries.
with that said, we hope you enjoyed this long ass rant. We hope you can give us your thoughts, rate, comment, subscribe, make video responses. We don't care. All of you enjoy yourself and keep on gaming. Peace.
This has been Drew and Joe from Super Console Bros, and we do enjoy bringing you extraordinary content and everything else. So, as Joe said, subscribe, comment, be nice about it, though. We hope you will be nice and polite about it. So, we'll see you all in the next videos we make. Whatever Joe gives you, whatever I give you. It's still Mega Man season, so who knows what'll happen, right? I'm still doing Battle Network. How about you,
Game
Joe?
on, everyone.
So,
Me, I may do Mega Man 3 when I get the chance. But as I said, everybody, game on, and as a little joke to put it this way, long live the Blue Bomber, because one thing's for sure, Capcom is treating it like shit, and real quick, he should go to Nintendo.
way back with the
Because Capcom hasn't
Nintendo, it
done
was
anything
always nice
for
with the
years.
Nintendo. I love it. So, gamer guys, gamer gals, dudes, and nerds and nets, game the fuck
Take it
on.